Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 13th of February, comes to you from Melbourne in Australia. Here from Memorial from my father last week, which is why I haven't been doing Charts today. But I've been looking at my system this morning, and I thought I'd quickly record one before I leave Australia en route to Singapore. So first of all, we look at the dollar index, remembering this is my long-term, my medium-term, and my short-term view of the market, and that's the weekly, daily, and 60-minute chart with the corresponding point and figure targets. And we're looking at the dollar index, and interestingly, we're seeing cloud support right on that weekly low a few weeks ago, where we actually did just touch cloud support. And so it would be very interesting to see whether the dollar can stabilize from here. But of course, in recent months, it has been falling away, and we've got a new upside target there for the dollar. So that's really quite interesting. We might now just be seeing a low point in the long-term trend. The medium term, of course, we're below the cloud. That's bearish. The long term, we're above the cloud. So really quite interesting looking at that bigger picture. And if we look at the euro, of course, was nudging 110. That might just be resistance now for the euro, and we might just struggle to get above that level. We don't have any targets really pointing any higher there. And so interesting that we saw that target generated back to 107. That's what's been met, and quite interesting that we're seeing that. The Japanese yen sitting at 132. Again, that weaker dollar in recent months showing through there, but finding cloud support. And again, we're just seeing the potential for the yen to improve there. So that will be quite interesting to see whether the dollar weakness has ended. Sterling sitting at 120.55. So we are just seeing here that sterling is effectively hitting that 125 resistance level. We did have a target to 128. That might be a push too far. We've got a new downside target to 119 on the short-term chart, and we're just holding steady there. And against the euro, sterling is sitting at just under 113. It really has been sideways mostly in recent months, although the last few days we've seen sterling just improve a little bit there as well. So that's going to be quite significant. Looking at Bitcoin, we're sitting at $21,800, falling away from that $24,000 level that we just nudged there. So just rolling over, and again, short-term bearish, downside target there to 21,200 to play for, and looks like we're just short of longer-term targets to the upside. The Nasdaq on Friday, we saw just a fall away. We've seen in recent days, in the last few sessions last week, where we just fell away on the Nasdaq, but we are generally seeing that medium-term improvement. Of course, longer term, we are still bearish below the cloud. We do have a new upside target, but that has not been activated yet, so we need to watch that. The futures this morning, we're seeing the S&P future down 0.3%, and the same for the Nasdaq future. It's just coming up to 7 a.m. in London, and of course Asia is still open, but we're seeing some of these markets now just closing in Asia. So looking at the FTSE future, we are sitting at 7,850. So again, FTSE having made that new all-time closing high, we have still got longer-term upside targets there for the FTSE. Short-term, we are just in the cloud, and so one to watch there. The DAX in Germany sitting at 15,300, just not quite able to get through on the weekly cloud, so still on the lagging line. So, and a shortage of upside targets on the 1% chart. We do have an upside target, so I'm 17% higher on the medium term, and of course that is looking more bullish, just finding support there on the short-term chart. Looking at some of the Asian markets now, we have the Japanese market down 0.5%. The Hang Seng also down 0.5%, and China bucking the trend, actually up 0.2%. Of course, markets just wondering what's going on with these balloons in the US, a little bit of geopolitical tension, and of course we are waiting key numbers on inflation out of the US and the UK this week as well. So markets really just biding their time until we get those numbers. Looking at the Sensex in India, we're down 0.5% there, and if you look at the Aussie market, that was down 0.2%. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute, but looking at gold, we're sitting at 1863. That fell back quite significant in the last few weeks, having got above that 1900 level, but we are still bullish above the cloud on the medium and long-term charts. That target nearly met there on the 1% chart. We're now almost certainly pulling back, hopefully to generate a new upside target, so watch for that. We do have downside targets here, still lower on the short-term chart, so that's going to be where we see any change showing up first. Silver falling back below $22, again just struggling to really get above that $24 mark, but holding the medium-term trend there as well. US 10-year yields looking really significant there. We're sitting at 373, so we're seeing a bit of a rise there, and of course we're wondering on these inflation numbers. The yield curve inversion versus the 10 and 2 year is really significant. I'm putting a post up on LinkedIn this morning on that, and in fact I've saved the chart, so let's see if I can actually show that chart. And here we see that US 2 and 10 year, and that's really back to where we were in the 1980s. We haven't seen that level for 40 years, where the spread between the 2 and the 10 year. So that's really got markets a little bit spooked at the moment as well. So keeping an eye on that as well. Some of the tech stocks, we've seen some pretty big moves. Apple back above 150. Microsoft really recovering quite sharply. Looking at Meta, really big jumps there. We were down below 100 only a few months ago. We're now sitting at 174, so nearly doubled there. And the same with Tesla, of course, just nudging this 200 level, but we might be exhausting now on Tesla. Just watch that medium-term trend. Those weekly 60-minute charts is where you're going to see those things show up first. Looking at the energy mix, we're not quite open yet in London. We've got Brent Crude sitting at 85.49, really waiting to make a new high above 90. That would be the signs of a new uptrend, but we are looking set. As we're building a base here, we're looking set to see a bit of a turnaround on crude oil, and we have got targets to 90, 87, so looks like we will go higher. On the 1 minute chart, really for today, and we'll be putting out our report this morning, as our daily report as usual, we are seeing a little bit of a mixed picture there, so we're just waiting for that to come clear. US nat gas sitting at $2.50, so that's really quite significant there. We've got a 256, but boy oh boy have we seen a fall away in recent months there on US nat gas, having really nudged 10 only 6 months ago. Really massive move back there. Looking at emissions, holding strongly above that 90 euro mark, so that's really quite significant. We've got some upside targets, so looking like a better week ahead for emissions. This is the 1 minute charts. Keep an eye on those if you're trading emissions. And looking at gas prices, of course they've been incredibly weak along with US gas. We're looking at European gas now, TTF. We've got a little bit of an upside there, quite a strong move there in the last hour of trading on Friday, looking at the candle there, but really not changing the picture on the daily. This is the daily on a 60-minute daily, 60-minute, 1 minute. So my long-term, medium-term, and short-term, or medium-term, short-term, and very short-term view of the market. MBP sitting at 134, looking weaker than TTF, having made new lows below that January low, but we do have a new upside target, so 2% higher. So we may see MBP trading higher today. And looking at Montel, I use Montel for the EEX data. Looking at German power, it's just pulling that data in. We're looking like we might have a little bit of a better week there with the upside targets they're kicking in on the 1 minute data, and so really interesting that we're just seeing a few day high there. So German power looking set for a better start to the week. That's it for today. The next time I get to record this, I might manage in Brunei over the next couple of days, and certainly back in when I'm in Singapore. Until then, happy charting. Bye for now.